The KXAN News Podcast is sponsored by Shelf Genie.
Major changes to the plan to add light rail lines to Austin, why the project is being scaled back.
And keeping people out of jail and sending them to get the mental health help they need instead. The new program Travis County is working on.
And damp gray weather for many of us today when the sun comes back out in first warning weather.
Well, right now, the public is finally getting a look at the new plans to revamp public transportation in the city. Good afternoon. I'm Daniel Marin.
And I'm Jennifer Sanders. It's all part of Project Connect, a voter-approved plan to add light rail and more buses to the city. But because of a bulging budget, the scope of that plan is being scaled back.
KXAN's Nabil Ramadna shows us how these new versions stack up to the old plan.
That's right, new plan. You can take a look at a few of them right here. Some that end up way up north, some ending at the airport. There's 5 plans in total, and a lot of them, well, they're there to help out, get people around town. But the ATP has to come up with a way to get that, and they're looking to the public to figure out which plan will work the best.
Project Connect. A multi-billion-dollar project that's meant to connect Austin.
Austin voted on a vision of a high-capacity transit that Austin community deserves.
Austin Transit Partnership will be in charge of delivering.
We had a great vote. Nearly 60% of Austin voters voted to invest in their transit system, in high capacity and in light rail. Moving forward on that vision starts today with these 5 options.
5 new plans that look different from what was presented to voters a few years ago. Now there are fewer light rails, no tunnels under Lady Bird Lake, and only one option that goes to the airport. And only one will be picked to serve Austin.
The voters did approve a vision. They approved a revenue source, a budgeted revenue source to start implementing that vision.
Joseph Kopser, a transportation expert. He says even though the plans are different from what leaders touted a few years ago, the project is still delivering on what those voters approved.
I think ballot language can sometimes be used at any level, city, state, federal, to portray a particular angle or to use words that might even sometimes confuse voters on purpose. But I think in this particular case, the scope of the project was so hard that we generally knew when we were voting for it, we either wanted more infrastructure for mobility or we did not.
Rising prices caused the initial $5 billion light rail project to double in price, but the new plans promise to keep costs at about $5 billion once again.
There are going to be cost overruns, especially as the economy changes and interest rates change. But overall, it's to be expected that there'll be changes.
And you can get a closer look at each of the 5 plans online now at KXAN.com. And also, right now, ATP is hosting a public meeting at the Austin Central Library downtown where they're taking feedback on each of the 5 plans. One of the versions of those plans will be picked later this year. Back to you.
All right, Nabil, thank you very much. And looking a little deeper, a piece of legislation filed earlier this month challenges Project Connect's funding. Dubbed the No Blank Checks Act, it would make organizations like the Austin Transit Partnership follow the same rules as cities and counties when issuing debt. This means that if passed, voters would have to sign off on things like the tax rate needed to pay back the debt from the project.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist David Yeomans.
Well, it hasn't been the prettiest of days, but nice to see some light rain falling for many of us on and off today. Gloomy skies here from high above downtown. The Austonian weather cam looking a little ominous and a lot warmer, 68 degrees today as south winds blow in. Here's the radar showing green, light rain, drizzle and mist in parts of the metro area. These light rain showers are moving quickly from south to north, lined up right now west of Loop 360 out toward Lake Travis and 4 Points. Roads are wet throughout the metro and many of our eastern counties as well. Some light rain in places like Lee County. Not much rain on the radar, though, west of Highway 281. Our rainfall totals are still steadily climbing. Some of us actually seeing over 1/4 of an inch in the last 24 hours. 0.28 in the bucket in East Austin and just over 1/4 of an inch in Pflugerville. Remember, we always have a map with a couple hundred rain gauges, so you can check your neighborhood on KXAN.com. Coming up, when we dry out, much warmer days starting tomorrow and our track on the western storm moving this way.
All right, David, thanks. An Austin man is facing murder charges after investigators found a body in a burning home in southeast Austin late Sunday. 31-year-old Zachary Salinas has been arrested for the stabbing death of John Kern. The two had been roommates. Austin police say Salinas tried to burn the house down after stabbing 36-year-old Kern in an effort to destroy evidence. A third roommate called 911 to report the fire. Salinas is facing first-degree murder, first-degree arson, and tampering with evidence charges. People who have committed low-level crimes and have mental health or substance use issues could be taken to treatment in Travis County instead of jail.
Commissioners took a step toward that today, voting to move forward with a mental health diversion center. KXAN's Grace Reader explains what happens next.
All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Travis County is one step closer to having a mental health diversion center. Dell Medical Center recommended the move after studying mental health in Travis County's jail for the better part of a year.
During this poisonous political time, when is the last time you saw medical professionals, law enforcement, the business community, and our activist community all on one page saying we've got to change?
The study found in Travis County those cycling in and out of jail with a mental health flag typically have just misdemeanor charges, many for criminal trespassing. The idea behind the diversion center is that instead of going to jail, people would be transported to a facility for 24/7 mental health care until they're ready to be discharged.
I'm excited about the prospect of having a diversion center, having another option for law enforcement other than the emergency room or the jail.
Though the item passed unanimously, Commissioner Bridget Shea expressed some concerns.
I am concerned about the burden that this will put on Travis County taxpayers. And part of the question I want to ask is, how will the city support this effort?
Now, Travis County staff will start looking into just that, along with what the center will look like and exactly who will qualify.
We directed staff to come back to us with specific items to vote on in, I think, the next 120 days or so. Directed them to get assistance from the Department of Justice on how to craft the exact details of the Mental Health Diversion Center. Very happy that we're going to start providing this important resource to people here in Travis County.
Grace Reader, KXAN News.
And while it's not yet set in stone, the county attorney said they expect someone's low-level charges would be expunged if they were diverted to mental health resources and do the work to get the help. That's another detail that's going to be ironed out in the upcoming months.
Law enforcement in New York City is still bracing for the possible arrest of former President Donald Trump. Trump said on social media last weekend that he expects to be arrested today. Now, this is in connection to an investigation into the use of campaign money to pay off adult film star Stormy Daniels. A grand jury now in Manhattan has been hearing testimony about the case, but they're not back in session until tomorrow.
An Austin police officer facing a felony charge, the special exception a judge made in this case.
And do you have a handbag that you don't need? How a program in Austin is using them to help.
And the new national monument right here in Texas, the area President Biden wants to protect. Well, today you can help survivors of abuse while cleaning out your closet. Today marks the start of the 16th statewide Handbags for Hope campaign. The Texas Advocacy Project asks for new or like new handbags to give to survivors of abuse. Now, included in the bags are life-saving resources along with the tag with the TAP's legal line. Since the program started, they've given out more than 46,000 bags.
We are able to do this work because we have such strong relationships within the community. We have people that are willing to pitch in to make sure that we have all of the resources necessary to serve survivors throughout the state of Texas.
And last year, TAP provided social and legal services to over 10,000 Texans. If you would like to donate, the project has drop-offs at the Travis County Sheriff's Office and all around Austin.
A Cedar Park woman is on a mission to protect a clutch of eggs whose home could be in peril. Mika Davenport found a nest filled with black-bellied whistling duck eggs in a tree in an HEB parking lot. She reached out to Austin Wildlife Rescue, who told her it's important to let the eggs develop for a couple of weeks. However, that tree is marked for removal, but it's illegal to destroy or tamper with an egg-filled nest, according to the Migratory Bird Act of 1918. Cedar Park told KXAN that the tree is private property, so it's not involved. KXAN has reached out to HEB to check on those plans, but we are still waiting to hear back.
Austin schools getting millions more in funding to get kids out of the classroom.
And not bad for a little light mist and drizzle. So far, we've tallied 18/100ths of an inch here in the city at Camp Mabry and 19/100ths of an inch at the airport. Still a little behind in terms of normal month-to-date rainfall at both locations. We'll have your first warning forecast with some warmer sunshine to come.
This KXAN News podcast is brought to you by Shelf Genie. I'm Rosie Newberry from KXAN Studio 512. Considering replacing your kitchen cabinets? Struggling to find or reach things? Go to shelfgenie.com/Austin. Shelf Genie designs custom pull-out shelves for your existing cabinets, adding convenience and value to the most used room in your home. Shelf Genie custom pull-out shelves, everything in reach.
An Austin police officer is facing charges for something he's accused of doing while on duty. Today, the Travis County District Attorney's Office announced the indictment of Officer Alejandro Gaitan. Now, he is charged with aggravated assault by a public servant and 2 misdemeanors in connection to an assault in March of 2021 as officers tried to serve a warrant. Now, while the police department reviews the incident, Chief Joseph Chacon has made the decision to place Officer Gaitan on restricted duty. When he was charged, the chief suspended Gaitan without pay. 2 other officers involved received 90-day suspensions for failing to intervene. It's unclear when this case will go before a county grand jury. Well, digging deeper, we reported on this case about this case last month. It's when a judge granted a motion ordering the Travis County District Attorney to record the grand jury proceedings in this case. Now, typically, grand jury proceedings are kept secret, but attorneys representing the officer pushed for this to happen. Under the bylaw, that the veil of grand jury secrecy may be pierced in specific circumstances. They filed the motion to record the entire proceeding, citing what they call political motivations by District Attorney Jose Garza. Garza told us, quote, the DA's office vehemently opposes any order that creates a separate legal system for law enforcement defendants. We have more on this story on KXAN.com. Just search record grand jury. Well, Austin ISD is getting millions of dollars in federal funding for campuses in lower income areas.
And our Jayla Washington breaks down what it will be used for and how this was all made possible.
Rain or shine, kids at St. Elmo's Elementary have big dreams for who they want to be.
I want to own my own business when I grow up. I would like to be like an engineer or have a career like in sport.
Well, now, because of new federal funding, students as young as 5th graders like Gareli and Alex can get help achieving those goals. Well, we are talking about $4 million of federal funding that'll go toward things like this, outdoor learning spaces, not only at this campus, but 36 campuses district-wide. That money also going toward early college prep and programs. Democratic Congressman Lloyd Doggett helped secure the funding.
There are big differences between some of our schools, particularly those schools that are surrounded by neighborhoods that are economically disadvantaged, that have parents that are struggling to get by.
It will expand more college campus visits. It will expand paid internship opportunities and provide them visits with industry partners.
These kinds of opportunities have already made an impact.
I'm a low-income first-generation student. When you're given the opportunity where you don't have to worry about like the finances and you have like this early college program that helps you and prepares you for college, it truly is amazing.
But with more resources now, the 2 new projects are expected to impact more students.
So we all get to have like the same chance to grow up and be somebody important in life.
Jayla Washington, KXAN News.
And AISD is still working out the details on how much money each campus will get for the 2 new projects. It tells us it will be considered on a case-by-case basis.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist David Yeomans.
Well, today, March 21st, the 1-year anniversary of a significant once-in-20-year tornado outbreak last year in central Texas. You remember it well. There were 7 different tornado touchdowns, one in Kingsbury that moved over into southern Caldwell County, another in Jarrell up in Williamson County, a couple in Elgin. That was actually one tornado that lifted and spawned another one later in the storm's track. Buckholtz and EF1 in Milam County, a weak touchdown in Giddings as well. Of course, the most significant one that we all remember the best, the tornado that was the strongest 135-mile-per-hour EF2 that damaged or destroyed 1,200 homes in Williamson County. We have a more detailed look back at the Round Rock Granger tornado right here on KXAN News at 6 o'clock. So join us in just a bit for that. Out there now, no real threat of severe weather in the coming days. We can all breathe a sigh of relief considering it is storm season here in Texas. In Marble Falls, one of the few areas actually getting a few breaks of sun. Live at the River City Grill, Highland Furniture Cam, 71 degrees. It's cooler elsewhere though, as clouds and even some light fog have been pretty persistent. Visibility down to a couple miles in Georgetown, 3 miles in Lee County. Fog has at least temporarily lifted in Austin with good visibility of 9 or 10 miles. Temperatures, a big disparity based on where the sun is shining and where it's not. Middle and upper 70s in the northwestern hill country, but middle and upper 60s on I-35 eastward, 68 degrees right now at Camp Mabry. Even those temperatures, though, are more than 10 degrees warmer than the recent cold spell we've been in. South winds effectively warming temperatures by as much as 22 degrees in the hill country compared to yesterday at this time. Now, the winds and the rainfall always change the mold count and the oak count as well. Mold is up, oak is down with the weather that we've had today. You can find hour-by-hour trends of all these allergens, including the newcomer mulberry, on KXAN.com under the weather tab. You can see that persistent gray sky and some streamer showers still affecting us from the Gulf of Mexico. This is actually the broad circulation ahead of a really significant storm impacting the California coast. You can actually see that swirl. It almost has the eye of a hurricane, even though it's not a hurricane, over San Francisco. Wind gusts in the mountains just south of the Bay Area expected to reach 85 miles per hour today. This storm is really the dominant influence in our weather through the work week. First of all, we get warmer temperatures. Today we were capped in the 60s in some areas, but tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, even into the weekend, 80 degrees or better in the Austin area. That returns us to warmer than normal conditions for this time of the year. What about the sky conditions? A little more sunshine gradually returning, but doesn't really happen this evening for many of us. While we enjoy some clearing in the hill country, the rest of us will see a decrease in rainfall, drizzle and mist through 10 p.m., but then it happens all over again. Clouds thicken up with a bit of drizzle and mist and light fog by morning. A gray start, though, has more sunshine by tomorrow afternoon. That's going to help us out with those temperatures exceeding 80 degrees. Another day in the routine, morning clouds, mist and drizzle on Thursday, more clearing into afternoon sun. Then here comes that western storm itself. Just as this model run ends at 7 a.m. Friday, you can see a not so impressive squall line of showers, a few thunderstorms moving into the hill country. This will sweep through our area the rest of the day on Friday. Only a minimal chance of severe weather with this at this time. 1 out of 5 marginal threat in the hill country only. Rainfall, unfortunately, looking minimal as well. About 1/4 of an inch all we see all the way through Friday evening. Tonight's forecast, 66 with some damp weather at times, especially by dawn. Tomorrow, warmer with some eventual afternoon clearing, 81 with the breezy south wind continuing. There's your best chance of rain all week from that Friday line of showers and thunderstorms. A brief drop in morning lows and humidity this weekend. Then some cooler weather blows in next week.
Well, it's an ominous first for mammals in Texas. The skunk that has the Texas Wildlife Department worried. A skunk has become a worrying first here in Texas. The National Veterinary Services Laboratory confirmed that a striped skunk in Carson County near Amarillo has recovered from a highly pathogenic avian influenza. Now, this is the first confirmed case of a mammal having that strand of avian flu in Texas. The transmission risk from birds to humans is low, but Texas Parks and Wildlife says to take basic protective measures if contact with wild animals just can't be avoided.
President Joe Biden wants to make over 10,000 acres of Texas land a protected area. He's set to announce measures to create the Kastner Range National Monument in West Texas. Located on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Biden hopes the designation will help protect the historic objects found within the range and honor U.S. service members and Native tribes. The U.S. Army used the range for training in World War II. President Biden also plans on designating Nevada's Aviquime Mountain as a national monument, as well as a marine sanctuary designation for all U.S. waters around the Pacific remote islands. We'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to KXAN News Nightly. You can also listen to KXAN News Today every morning for more in-depth coverage of what matters most to you.